This episode was brought to you by Scatter and Crypto Lions. The opinions expressed in this show are not the opinions of our sponsors. Hi everyone, this is Jenny. I'm also known as TopKpop, and this is EOS Very Cool. Today I have episode 3 of Women of EOS, and it's wonderful because I get to sit down with an actual friend of mine who I've made in the EOS space, is Katie Roman. Hi, Katie.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I'm so excited. We've had the pleasure of working on a previous project. It was kind of short-lived, but but it's wonderful because now we've continuously reconnected. So I love this. I'm so excited. And I think the viewers are excited to know who Katie is because you see this woman all over Telegram and every channel, I swear. So I think everyone would love to know a bit more about you. How about you introduce yourself to the people that will be watching this?
Sure, thanks, Jenny. Okay, so most of you know me probably as Katie Roman. My actual name is Leah, but go ahead and keep calling me Katie. That's fine. Katie Roman's a pen name I used when I was writing articles for EOS Go, and it just stuck. I had no idea that EOS Go was as big as it was and that people were so tuned in as they were. So it became my name. But that's fine because now, even in my real life, when someone will call out the name Katie, I'll turn around and it's like a second identity now. So that's good. But aside from my name, introduce myself. Well, I live in Bend, Oregon. I'm married and I have a 2-year-old son. I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I work for EOS Asia as their community champion. And I get to do that from the comfort of my home. So EOS has been pretty good to me so far.
That is awesome. I mean, just the fact, obviously, you're a mom. I mean, I'm a mom too, so we can relate. But yeah, the comfort of being able to work from home, even with a 2-year-old, I don't know how you do it because it's hard with a 2-year-old.
Yeah, it is hard. He's a pretty good little guy, and he's pretty independent. He watches more TV than he probably should. And the TV babysitter. And I just type away on my phone on Telegram. It's a good situation for now.
See, that's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So now, how did you actually get into blockchain, and why did you choose EOS?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm such a mom. This goes back to my son again. So after I got pregnant, and once I was heavily pregnant, I left the job where I was at before. I was director of operations for a local media company. And my husband and I talked about, we decided it wasn't going to work, me working and taking care of a baby, just because the cost of daycare and all that normal stuff. So I decided to stay at home with him, but I got really bored really fast. Newborn stuff, it's like not that exciting. So a friend of mine, she told me she was really into Ether and Litecoin and stuff, and she told me I should look up, cryptocurrency, because she thought, well, you can probably have fun and make money from home just being a day trader. And I was like, okay, sure. So I started researching it, and I never ended up day trading, not even once. But as I started researching it, a lot of the articles I found about it were on Steemit. And so I just started reading Steemit. I signed up for an account 3 times because I failed the first 2 times and lost my key. And I didn't realize that no one would help me get it back. And I just kind of fumbled in the Steemit space for a while. And of course, then I started learning about Dan Larimer, and it was Jenny. Remember, it was like around the time that he hadn't even launched EOS yet, but he was talking about it, and then I saw it premiere at like around $3, and then it went down for a slump around 50 cents, and I didn't buy any, which is a huge regret. And so I was like, I just became obsessed with Dan for a little bit, and I was lonely at home, bored. All my hopes and dreams got projected onto Dan. And so I started blogging on Steemit, and I started following EOS, and certainly not that versed in crypto. I've only know about EOS and a little more about Steem. And I've learned about BitShares just out of my Dan obsession, just learning about what he's done in the past. Like, I really only know about those three.
There's nothing wrong with that.
They're the best ones anyway. Why am I going to waste my time with those unscalable blockchains?
Fair enough. Fair enough. I do love you. Like, I had a little obsession with Dan, and I think so many people in this space do, to be honest.
Yeah. You know what it's like. We're in the cult of depots, so.
Oh, absolutely. You get involved in something and you're like, oh, this is interesting. But it's cool too, because it's like you don't have your spouse isn't in the space. So
right.
It's really cool that you're just kind of, because I mean, yeah, you know, mine is. So yeah, it's really cool just to see you go, blockchain. The day trading thing is hilarious. Oh, you could just make money day trading. I have no experience. I've never done it. I mean, people do, but
yeah, she was like, just do it. Yeah, but what's funny, you talk about Blue Jays, and I get jealous of that because I'm like, oh, it'd be so great to have your spouse in it, and they totally understand, and they're like super supportive. You know, with my husband, I have a bunch of internet friends, and he's like confused about it, and he like keeps me at arm's length with that stuff. So yay, Blue Jays for being a supportive crypto husband.
There you go. There you go. Yes, it's always a good thing. But yeah, the internet friends, people sometimes don't still understand, which is hilarious.
Oh, I bet you get it. If you talk to anyone outside of your little crew, it's probably like,
at least a little bit, yeah. Even like sometimes your family, they're like, well, you know, sure, but. So now, what are you currently working on in this space? I think people would love to know.
Oh yeah, okay. So, as I mentioned before, I'm working with that. I'm their community champion. And what that entails is like a lot of Telegram chatting, just mixing it up with my internet friend on Telegram, trying to, help spread news about things that I think are important. I have The Wire we have now on The Wire channel about 5 other admins that help push out community news. We found a little under 100 numbers fluctuate daily. A few people join, a few people quit. We're not too discerning at The Wire. We're really open. So as long as we think some kind of news or announcement isn't spam or a phishing attempt, we'll send it out there. So anyone, if you have news, hit me up on Telegram, or CJ or Anna or anyone, and we'll put it. Anders now is a new admin, so we'll post on The Wire. So that's like a little project I do. Another one I do that's more EOS related, Asia related, is talking about my EOS kit and promoting that. It's a block explorer and a toolkit that the community can use, and I like it. It's really pretty. It's purple and white and pink and cute. And it's a super fast block explorer, and it's a great toolkit. We have to thank EOS Toolkit for that. Open source software was the base we used to build it up to what it is now. So that's another great VP in the space. Hats off to Generios. And And as you know, we recently acquired EOS Go, so we have to give a hat tip to you and Blue Jays and Kevin for creating an awesome, awesome, awesome community in EOS Go that we're now leveraging. Our hope is to make EOS Go, to take it to the next level, as in hopefully it will be a place people can land to learn about EOS that aren't necessarily in our Telegram.
Oh, interesting.
And when I say Telegram, I mean Telegram community. Because right now, as you know, it's like you get your EOS news from Reddit, which is okay. And no, I love you guys on Reddit. It's just, you guys are intense there. And or Twitter. But Telegram's really where it's at. So we're hoping that we can take the great foundation you guys made with EOS Go and that name and that passion and power that people had behind it, and we're hoping we can just share that with people that maybe just Google EOS. Because girl, I know you know, Google EOS right now, first you're gonna get the lip balm, and then if you,
or the camera.
Right. I didn't even know there was a camera.
Neither did I until I started searching it. So I'm like, I don't want a camera thing.
EOS blockchain, EOS whatever, you may get the EOS IO site. I think that's up there now as far as SEO, but then you're going to get like some Steam It posts. They may be nice about EOS, they may not be, you know, it's just, there needs to be a concerted effort marketing wise to the wider world, and we hope that EOS Go will be that place people can land. So that's actually a great thing. You know, we want to bring back a lot of the initiatives you guys started. And if anyone wants to contribute, you can join the Telegram. It's still at EOS Go. And well, we made it, I don't need to tell people that. There is a new group, but we use the same name. So at EOS Go. And you can just get in there and write articles or share information and get to know each other, and we'll help anything that's well written or of high quality. We'll help promote on the EOS Go channel that you guys built up to around 2,700 members, and if applicable, the wire. So those are really my main focus right now, what I'm doing in the community. I've been talking a lot. Sorry.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's good that you elaborate. People love to know. It's not like, well, I'm just working on this one thing and that's what it is.
That's what it is. Yeah. So I'm really passionate about the wire. I'm becoming passionate about EOS Go. It's just, it's a lot of pressure, man, because you guys really set the bar high, and we don't want to let people down. Obviously, it's not an impartial news organization anymore because it's run by a BP, and how can we say it's impartial? It's just not by definition, but we're hoping to be really inclusive, and we're hoping to kind of, you don't see too much of EOS Asia in EOS Go, just because we want it. I'll talk to you after the interview. We want to try to keep a lot of what you guys wanted to do with it alive, and obviously not all of that can happen, but hopefully a good amount can.
I love it. You're just like, well, it's good, and it is good. I mean, you know, it's good that you are enjoying the stuff that you're involving yourself in, and let alone the ones that you're, you know, even starting up. Like the wire is fantastic, and it's seen a lot of success, and just the fact that you're being able to reach out and put all this news and stuff out there, it's wonderful. People seem to really appreciate it, which is awesome. Like, absolutely.
Yeah, and you know, it's just really a community aggregating thing, and my hope is that once we get more money into this space, you know, real journalists will make actual news organizations. But in the meantime, it's good enough, you know. Do what we can with it.
And I think it's being done fabulously so far. So
thank you.
So now, since we're always talking about the EOS ecosystem, is there anything that you particularly are looking forward to in the next little while?
Oh, you mean besides the much longed for Block One wallet and BitShares 3.0 and Steam it too. besides those, besides those that everyone is looking forward to. Actually, yeah, it's hard to pick, but off the top of my head, I would have to say I'm really excited for Hyperion by EOS Rio. And I know it's already out, I think, but I haven't really played with it and I haven't seen too much promotion on it. So I don't know if it's like in stealth mode, but that's going to help us monitor the network and get a clearer vision of what block producers are doing as far as like latency and nodes. And it's kind of forensic, I've been told. So we could even see like account interactions and dot, dot, dot. So I'm hoping it lives up to the hype and we can start really like grilling our block producers based on, oh, people are going to hate that I said grilling, just getting more information from our block producers. And I think that'll be great, you know, because block producers do, as you know, work for the community. I mean, they're getting paid inflation, which devalues our EOS that we hold. I mean, not just technically devalues it. Of course, they add so much value that it's worth the cost, but it'd be good to know, you know, who's doing what. And so I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to votetracker.io just came out with a new version. EOS Mediterranean did that, and shout out to them. I think they're really underrated in the space. And I was told by them that they're also going to upgrade it to be a forensic tool. So right now, if you go on votetracker.io, you can see in the last 48 hours how many votes, extra votes a BP got and how it moved them up, and how many votes a BP lost. And they're hoping to really make it granular so you can just drill down on that data and see, okay, well, who sent at what time on what date this interaction, and what other block producers did they send give votes to around that time, and kind of track trends there. So I'm really excited, yeah, about those two tools. And I'm really excited about, this is self-promotion, sorry guys, but I am excited, okay? Like, I'm excited because, you know, I'm around these guys and I see how excited they are. And I'm really excited for EOS Gems. That's going to come out from EOS Asia, and it's going to be a blockchain-based game in which you search for, mine, and collect digital gems in the space. And they've talked about this months ago on EOS Go, but it's just taken longer than they thought, because at first it was just going to be like crypto kitties or whatever, and now because the EOS platform has proven to be so powerful and fast, it's going to be a whole thing. So you're going to like mine for your gem, get your gem, then there's going to be a market where you can sell your gem, and they're working on actually including 3D printing, so that if you decide to print your gem in the real world, it then becomes destroyed on the blockchain, so that it only exists in the physical realm. So it's pretty exciting. I don't want to say an ETA on that, because every month it's going to happen, and then, and then it gets delayed. But if you've seen Pixel Master, you know that our devs are great smart contract coders. We actually incubate a team that works on this stuff for us, and they're very talented. And so I've been told within the next 3 months it should be live, and I'm pretty excited for it.
Nice.
Yeah, I think you'll like it, Jenny, because I know you're all about the dApps and you're all about the games.
I am. I love games. I love games. Wow. I mean, because I know you and your personality, I love that you love those little nitty gritty tools. I don't know why. So I'm like, that's really interesting. And gems, I will admit, I have been going to the site like at least once a week. I'm just kind of like, I want to know. I love to know what people come up with and how it's going to work. And there's very little mention about it. So, but I have to admit that whole 3D thing is very interesting. I mean, I have no access to either, but like that's really cool.
You're right. It's probably going to be some kind of like market in of itself the 3D printing, right? Because maybe it'll have a locator that says, you know, who's a registered 3D printer near you, and there's a cost associated with that where people can make money for 3D printing for other people. Maybe. I mean, I just made that up, so that's not like what they've told me is happening.
That's a good idea.
You just triggered my mind. Like, yeah, I don't know how many people have a 3D printer. Maybe.
I mean, a good amount of people do. I just, you know, I have that good old paper printer, but I mean, I'm very interested. I will look forward to gems because, yeah, I love my games and I love my dApps. So
yeah. Have you played Pixel Master yet?
I have played Pixel Master yet, and then I also played its competitor that stopped doing
Pixel Fun. There was like Pixel Pictures too. There was like,
yes, I
heard that one. Can we talk about Pixel Master for a second, because it's so self-promotional. But here's the thing, guys. It's like when you work for a BP, you become obsessed with that BP because that's what you're learning about. So, and you become attached to the people, and I mean, we all know the other BPs are doing awesome things. We have Shintai now. I mean, they beat Block 1 to the punch. I mean, I'm still excited for Rex, Dan. Like Dan cares what I think. But, you know, I mean, there's so many BPs making so many tools and dApps and interesting things that we're only 4 months old at light speed. But, of course, I hold EOS Asia's projects nearest and dearest to my heart. And so just to let people know, because I still get people asking me about this, we were going to launch a game called EOS Pixels, us as in EOS Asia. And then at the last minute, we were told by our legal team that we couldn't launch it. And that is because, as you know, Jenny, the rules that were going to be in EOS Pixel, where if you drew on a canvas, anyone that drew after you, whether on top of the image you drew or on a different point of the canvas, would pay you a small dividend of EOS. We were told by our legal team that this could be seen as a security, and since we are a well-known BP, it could cause legal problems for us. I know, I hate the regulation in the space right now. It's like you can't do anything. But so we couldn't launch it, but we open sourced the code, and we had been doing beta before that, where members of the community were testing EOS Pixels before it was live on the Kylan testnet, which I'd also like to plug. Another great, I know people know a lot about the famous Jungle, but Kylan's up and coming. It consists mostly of Asian BPs right now, but actually we've had a few Western BPs join recently, and it's really vibrant and fun. But so Kylan, but Jungle's still great, guys. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying we were testing EOS. I get on such rabbit trails. We were testing using Kylan's coins, and we had beta testers that really liked the game. And so when we said we couldn't launch it, but we've open sourced the code, we put the GitHub out there, we made the announcement, hey, it can't be launched. Cynical people were like, is this a weird marketing thing? Like, you guys are like, it can't be launched, only you can launch it. And we're like, no, we really want to make those sweet like 20% that we had put aside, that the dev team would make 10% because we incubated the team, and then EOS Asia BP was going to make 10%. So I personally was looking forward to a nice bonus, and then my dreams got crushed, but we didn't want the code to go to waste. So we put it out there, and this guy who called himself, he obviously made a handle just for the game, he calls himself the Pixel Master, and like he launched the game. And we didn't actually release the front end code, but his front end looked a lot like the front end we had in our beta. So we think he either because the code was always open source, because those are the rules, as you know. We have to open source your dApps. So we don't know if for some reason he was playing with the code before the announcement and he knew it, or if he's just coded from scratch and really mimicked it well. We don't know, but because he launched it so fast, we're like, this guy's kind of badass. It, we know it's not easy to do those kind of things, front end stuff. So we watched it, and he's had great success with the Pixel Master. And but The game has gotten crazy, guys, because he launched it first with the rules we had, and then Dan Larimer took an interest in the game. And Jenny, I don't know if you're in the Pixel Master group, but like Dan comes in there like every other day to say something. And it's usually to make like poor Pixel Master's life hell. Like he usually comes in there to like say how the game could be better. I'm sure Pixel Master appreciates it. I don't know Pixel Master personally. I've chatted with him a few times on Telegram, but what from the outside looking in, it's like the community gathers around Dan. So like Dan has an idea on how to make the game better, and they are ideas that make the game better. Then the community's like, we need this now. Then they like are like, where is Pixel Master? Like he needs to make this happen. And I can only imagine after being exposed to devs now through EOS Asia that this poor Pixel Master and whoever he's working with are like, F, Dan, like we're like just trying to make this game stable. You're like coming in with different rule changes and stuff. So have you seen it? It's hilarious.
Oh, I have seen it. I'm just like, what? I mean, I had to give it to the guy because that came out really quick after you guys announced you couldn't do it. It's lucky for him because Dan does take an interest, even though it's probably a pain in the butt as a developer. It's also people flock with him. So
yeah, you're right. It's probably gotten him weight. It probably wouldn't have gotten so successful without Dan, but it's funny. And then yesterday, I've been playing. I've been trying to make EOS, and yesterday it like got down to like, I saw on my end down to like 40 seconds. And
whoa.
Guys, if the game hits 0 seconds, the game ends, and like this big pot of EOS gets distributed. And so I was like sitting there, and I was like, should I draw? Because if you draw, you like get entered into the lottery to win the pot. And so I'm like, should I draw? Should I not draw? And I just FOMO'd out when I saw it go to 40 seconds. I'm like, like just scribbling. And then the game didn't end. So like I drew for nothing.
You're so
like
funny.
everyone obviously felt like I did and just drew at the same time. And
well, yeah, because it's like a certain amount that you have to increase it per day or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you probably FOMO'd a little bit extra, and then it's like, oh, shoot, I reset the timer.
I reset the timer, exactly. I really thought it was my fault, but then other people in the chat were like, I saved the game, and other people were like, I saved the game. I'm like, oh, we all drew at the same time, great. We all waited till 40 seconds and drew.
Oh man, people are funny.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take a little bit of a different turn now. We're gonna hit the women questions.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So obviously in EOS and in other blockchains, there's women in here, and they're increasing in numbers. Now, I asked this of all my women that come into your interviews because I love to know what people will say. What would you say to those women that are standing off to the sidelines or just kind of peeking in, and they're very cautious or really unsure about getting involved for some reason or another?
Oh, that's a great question. You're a great interviewer. You know what? I would say jump in. I'd say just do it. Make a name for yourself. I mean, if you're spending a significant amount of time in the Telegram communities anyway, you might as well try to get your name out there and get known. I'm not a developer. I'm not a sysadmin person. I'm not anything. I just told you, like, I'm a stay-at-home mom who just started chatting on Telegram. And because of this, depending on what your goals are, but mine was definitely to get paid to be in the space. I now have a job getting paid in the space. And was I super qualified for that? No. But I was super passionate. And Jenny, it's the same right with you, right? Like, you were a founder of EOS Go. No one went up to you guys and were like, make EOS Go. Like, you guys just did it. Yeah. Like, now you're talented because you have all the video. I'm not saying, that's not what I'm saying here, people. I'm saying, everyone has a talent that they can bring to the table. And the community is so new. Blockchain in general is just so new that the bar is really low to enter. And why not become a blockchain expert, right? Like, I feel like anyone can do it. So I tell them, get involved. If you're a good writer, there's a space for you. If you're great at just chatting on chats, there's a space for you. I know that because that's where I found my niche. Video work, art, production work, which Jenny could probably help you guys out if you ever want to reach out to either of us. There's a space for you. Like, there's really, and that's not to say, I just want to, so there's a space no matter what you can do, I feel. Even if you just want to talk more and become a part of the community, even if your goal isn't to get paid in the space, just get involved. Yeah, I think it's exciting.
Yeah, and I it seems to be a common theme too. It's just like jump in. And by the ways, you are a very good writer, so don't say it's just chatting.
Thank you.
It's not. I mean, I still remember like the first 1 or 2 articles that went out, and they're like, "Katie's articles are awesome," and because your pen name. But yeah. And
Thank
yes,
you.
like you said, you don't have to be, a sysadmin or a developer, but if you are, obviously, you're probably not standing too much on the sidelines unless you're unfamiliar with this particular blockchain.
Exactly. You bring up an interesting point. Yeah, if you're a developer, do sysadmin stuff, this is where you're meant to be. Like, don't just sit aside. Come on board. Help us make dApps. Us, the community, help us grow the EOS blockchain and get to work. I mean, we need those people.
She's laying the hammer down. Come on.
I am. I want more games. I want more dApps.
Who doesn't want more games than dApps? But yeah, I agree. If you're not over on EOS and you are a developer, you should probably just be looking over here because it's bright on this side.
Well, what have you noticed, Jenny? Because it's like you and Blue Jays are more involved with like conferences and dApps and like that side of it. And like, is there a shortage of dApp developers, or you think I'm just being impatient because it's only been 4 months, or like, is there a lot happening dApp development?
I think there are a lot of dApps that have ideas or that are going somewhere, but I swear all the time I'm constantly seeing ads or posts for people asking for developers.
Okay.
And I know that there's there's actually people in the ecosystem too that are putting up videos to teach people how to develop on EOS. Otherwise, I would just say it's all about it's getting it done. So it depends on how big your team is, if you need the funding, and yeah, it's really, there's so many dApps I'm watching to come out like end of this year or beginning of the year, even with like their betas. I'm just like that, and all of Dan's stuff. So.
Dan, just give us something, Dan. No. Well, which ones are you really excited about dApp-wise? Because I have to admit, I haven't kept up with the dApp side of things.
Oh, there's so many. There's so many. Yeah, there's so many. I'm actually so obviously I work with Higher Vibes. So I can't wait until that is ready to go and test out, because I hire people constantly on Upwork for things. So it would just be really nice to support this ecosystem and just what they're doing. And it's funny because I'm actually watching a game, and I've been watching it for a while. I actually did an interview on it a few months ago. But I want to see how Prospectors turns out.
What's Prospectors?
It's like a multiplayer online real life. There's like a whole little synonym thing for it that I can't remember offhand, but it's supposed to be like a economy based kind of game. It looks and it sounds like it's going to be pretty awesome and intense, and apparently you can't really lose because it's like real life. You can go and get a job to earn some more man, it's interesting. So
it's like Second Life-ish, or?
Well, that would probably be more high fidelity.
What is high fidelity? Oh my God.
Well, see that there's too many things. This is what I'm talking about. Yeah, there's too many things. That's a whole other like virtual kind of game, but I haven't seen, I think they're producing it for over here. I just haven't seen too much going on about it.
Okay.
Yeah, there's so many. There's so many.
There's
This
so
is the thing.
many.
I could talk for days
You
about,
need to give a lecture about the dApps that are about to come out. Because we need
but
to
then it
like,
would be like,
I need to play them.
yeah. I mean, I do my interviews and my walkthroughs I'm going through, but
I love that.
you update it, and I swear to God, there's like 5 more behind it.
That's really encouraging. By the way, I loved your Monster EOS one. It was pretty funny.
That one, that one was fun. The funny thing is I've taped that before they went 3D like a few times, and I don't know how many monsters I've bought just for the purpose of a walkthrough. So
Yeah.
it's hilarious. I'm like, well, here you go.
Here's my other monster.
Yeah.
Well, we thank you. You're buying the monsters so we can all know what's up.
There you go. Thanks for that. Oh man. Okay, so off the desk. Let's see. Now, so what was it? Oh yes. Yes, this is a good question because I'd love to know what you think about this. Because I always get different answers.
Oh.
Do you feel that there are any challenges whatsoever for women in this space?
Man, you hit me with one.
I did. I always get very different answers.
Oh man. All right, I'm going to get on my soapbox, guys. Jenny asked me, it's not my fault. Okay, first I'd like to say, I don't know, as I said, I'm not really experienced with other blockchain communities at all. But I can say for the EOS community that it is mostly men, but they have been nothing but gentlemen for the most part to me in my personal experience. So really great community. Everyone's super friendly, super helpful. We all have our differences, of course. Like no one's going to be 100% aligned with someone else 100% of the time. But for the most part, they're great. And I have to do a shout out to Blue Jays, to Kevin Wilcox, as the men that we worked with, and I worked with a brief time. They both welcomed me to EOS Go with open arms, and kind of gave me a name in the space. So for that, I'm thankful. Give a shout out to Fuzzy. He's really empowered me in the space. And shout out to my EOS Asia guys, Joe and DeFung, they like hired me. And so, so with those niceties out of the way, I do think there is a challenge. I don't think there's a malicious, concerted effort to keep women out of the space. In fact, I think a lot of the men in the blockchain world would love it if more women were involved in the space. But there is a challenge, and I think that challenge is probably three-pronged in my mind. The first being women in technology in general in the greater world. We just need to get more women involved in STEM altogether, and that's a world challenge. Like, and even I'm in the US, so I'll speak to that. Even in the United States, I'm 30 years old, and I know growing up that STEM wasn't really emphasized in my life. And there's always those things that people say, like, oh, boys are better at math than girls. Like, it's just things, like, but like, this is what girls do, this is what boys do. And again, I don't think it's malicious. It's just cultural and society, and we just have to work really hard to say that's not true. I can do math too. I'm horrible at math, but it's not because I'm a girl. It's because I suck at math. And I know a lot of women that are great at math. This is turning into a ridiculous statement, but my point stands that I think it's a broader problem in society. If I drill down to the blockchain space, and Jenny, this is something you had told me that's really stuck with me before. I hope I don't misquote you. Is that you have to give women something to do in the blockchain space. Like, they're not just going to come and like twiddle their thumbs and be bored, right? So it's systematic. It starts with there's not as many women involved in STEM. If they're not as involved in STEM, of course, they're less likely to be reading about the latest breaking technologies. If they're not, not that there aren't women developers, there are, but the stats show far fewer than men. So, there's not really a way for them to get involved. right off the bat, right? Or so they think. As we've talked about, there are other ways. You don't have to be a developer. You don't have to be a sysadmin person to get involved. But also, uh, it's a really nascent technology. You could learn to code. You could learn how to do a sysad. You could get involved in that way if you wanted to, man or woman. So I guess to actually answer your question, stop rambling. Is there a challenge? Are there challenges? Yeah, I think the challenges are societal, systemic. I think there's a challenge where, the community tends to just close in on itself and really, hasn't done much as far as marketing that I've seen so far to get women involved in the space. And I really think if we don't get more women involved in this space, it's to our own detriment, right? Because women make up 51% of the world population. If we want EOS to go big, women are going to have to be involved. And women, who's going to know what women want or would like to see better than women? So I just think the first, company, BP team, whatever, that really decides to advocate and kind of crusade for this mission is going to be rewarded immensely in the long run. And I've seen a few things from B1. It sounds like they're working on those efforts as well. So I think we'll see a lot more women coming into the space soon. At least I hope, because it's fun. Like we kind of just find each other, right? It's like, oh, hey.
Yeah. Oh, another woman. Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
And there's actually a good bit of women in the space.
Yeah, they're coming out. They're like ready to rock it. And
they are. I'll actually admit I have like 2 more interviews lined up over the next few weeks too. So it's like there's women everywhere.
You do? Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's exciting.
I won't tell who because this is yours.
Oh, okay. But I'll have to talk to you after this.
but yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, obviously, yeah, you did kind of quote me there, because that was my worry coming in. I mean, I was in the Steam blockchain and I was kind of like, oh, I'm blogging, I'm doing something, and I started getting into the video editing, but I was sitting on the sidelines, just kind of going, there's nothing for me to do. I'm not a developer. What do I do? And I mean, eventually I came over and that's it, history. But
history.
Yeah.
I know. Now you're one of the faces of EOS and we love you and it's awesome.
You're sweet.
So be like Jenny, guys. But I will say, and then we can move on to the next question. I'm sorry, I'm taking forever. I will say, because I read this recently and it rung true to me. I was listening to an interview with a representative from Emily's List, which in the United States is an organization that tries to get more women to run for political office, both local and federal. And I was listening to a podcast and she was saying the best analogy she has for why it may seem to people that sometimes women are really slow to get involved in different things. She was talking more politically, is this self-limiting idea, and we don't know if it's nature or nurture, society. Probably with most things it's a combination of the both. But she said the best analogy she had for it is, if a woman sees a job posting and she reads what they're looking for in that job posting, she will read it and she'll say, oh darn, I only have about 70% of the skills they're looking for. I'm not going to apply to this job. I'm not qualified. And she'll move on. But when a man, this is generalizing people, I know not all men and women are the same, but when a man looks at a job posting, he goes, I have 70% of these qualifications. I'm very qualified for this job. And he will just, apply to it. And that confidence is a gap that they were seeing. And in my personal life, I've seen that to be true. I can't talk about how many times my husband has, when he's looking for work or applying to jobs, he's like, oh, I can do this. So they're looking for an MBA. Well, they don't really need that. Like, he'll be like, they don't need that for this position. They're just listing that, trying to see who they can get. I'm going to apply, and he's been very successful. And I know within me, my insecurities, I'm totally the opposite way. It's like, if I don't have like 95% of the skills, I feel like I'm never going to get this or I'm not qualified. So if any of you ladies feel that way, obviously you're not alone, and you need to fight that feeling. You need to just say, no, I'm going to put myself out there. There's nothing wrong with trying.
Absolutely. Yes, nothing wrong with trying. Fully back that up. And I can also relate to that. So it's funny that that's been noticed. That's funny. I didn't know
Why
that.
are we so hard on ourselves? It's crazy.
No, I have no clue.
I don't know what it is.
Oh, but that's funny that it's that common to be considered a common trait.
Yeah, that's why I was shocked. I just saw myself in that statement and I was like, oh my gosh, I do that all the time.
Wow. So now, based on that then, and all the stuff you talked about, how do you think we could continue to get more women over here?
I have to go back to what you said to me before. I'm such a biter. Just like we need things for women to probably maybe a three-pronged approach. Why do I keep saying that? First, we need things that for women to do. So we need to open up and make a concerted effort as a community to bring more women in. So and I'm going to speak to men here mostly because right now they're dominating the blockchain space in general.
Okay. So we got a little stuck there for a moment because someone came to my door. So what we were talking about was Katie was talking about how we can continue to get more women into EOS. So sorry for the interruption.
Yeah, no problem. And I love the question. And I think it's probably the answer is pretty obvious, right? Like we just need to do a concerted effort to get more women into the space. And I think for a lot of men, if that are involved in the EOS ecosystem right now, and you want to get women involved, I've seen a lot of BPs hiring ladies to their teams. I think that's great because right now, one of the main ways to have a voice at the table is to be part of a BP team. So I love that, and I love that they're getting more women on their teams. I think that's really progressive and great of them. I also think that if you are someone who's interested and you're on Telegram or Reddit or Twitter talking about EOS, you're obviously passionate and see its potential. So get a woman in your life involved, reach out to them specifically, don't let it just be your secret side passion that no one will care about. Like try to make them care because we really do think it's a huge opportunity for anyone involved here. So I'd say mother, sister, girlfriend, wife, friend, like any lady in your life, be like, hey, you at least come onto the Telegram and join some groups and see if you're interested, invite them into the space. I think a lot of times we underestimate how interested people can be in something like blockchain in general, or there's a stigma around it because of, all the FUD about blockchain that's out there. But I found once you explain the benefits, people do want to learn more and get involved. And also just if we really want to throw some money behind it, and I know EOS Dublin has done this really well, just education. If we can teach women and people in general about blockchain and why it's important, and we can sponsor, I know CJ is a friend of ours, is looking to start on Telos because they're going to have worker proposal funds on Telos. She's doing a bid to, provide scholarships to women every quarter to learn how to code. And I really think that kind of direct investment in women is going to pay off tenfold because as we were talking about, we're 51% of the world population. And if you get more women involved, we'll grow faster than ever, and those coin prices are going to rise. Like, can you imagine if we got more women involved? That ticker on coin market is going to go up, up, up because these ladies are going to take their hard-earned money and want to be involved and want to invest in the ecosystem if they like what they're seeing. So, yeah, I think we just need to kind of put the money in early and invest in women, and we'll get paid back. It'll be a great investment.
That's great. Now, just before we got interrupted, you were mentioning the 3-prong approach. Were those the 3 prongs?
I don't know. I guess
Well, they
the
sounded like
three-pronged
three
approach
prongs.
would be invite women into the community in
There
your
you
life
go.
that you know, invest in women, like market to them directly, and we have great analytics, right, that let us know what keywords will bring women into any kind of space. So invest, market to them directly, and then invest in them. When they get here, give them something to do, like you've said a few times before as I've known you. Like, tell them, hey, here's a class you can take, here's a community you can join, here's Katie, Anna, Annetta, Jenny, like Adriana, here's some ladies in the space if you want to be mentored by them. And when I say mentor, I say that very loosely. I mean, chat with us. And just get them going and give them something to do. Hire them to your BP team. They may not have blockchain experience, but I'm sure a lot of women have marketing, writing, community, PR experience.
DAP teams too. They're always
DAP
looking for,
teams.
yep.
I didn't even think of that. Yeah. Get them involved on your DAP. There's women that are professionals. We need probably more lawyers in this space, even though people hate that I said that, but it's true. We'll probably need people that are versed in regulation. There's so many things anyone in this space could do, and it would be a shame if we didn't try to get more people involved.
Love it. And you had an answer for that too. And I was like, what is a three prong? And you're like, exactly what I just said. And you're like, this is awesome. Didn't even miss a beat.
You made it up. Yeah. Jenny wants 3 prongs. I'll deliver 3 prongs.
But it all made sense. And that's a really well described answer too. I mean, it wasn't vague at all. It's like, just, invest in people, tell everybody, tell the women in your life. I think those are fantastic ways that people can easily change what's happening, like just at a faster rate, to be quite honest. Like,
if we got more women involved, our coin price would go up, up, up. They'll start buying it. I mean, buying the coin. And it's funny, in my personal life, I have EOS, because I bought some EOS at varying points. And I have like these 100 EOS, I'll put a name to it, to like someone in my life. And so far, just not on purpose, but it's been mostly women. So I like have my mom's coins, right? Like I have my friend who told me to start day trading. I have some EOS for her set aside because she's really into Ether, but whatever. And I have my aunt, I have some EOS for her, and I've told these, even if I tell people about it, I think when they're ready to jump in, when they feel like they have the time or the interest, I'm gonna have those EOS for them. When they decide to set up a wallet, they're gonna have those resources. And I think that's pretty cool because, right, like then they'll have skin in the game, and hopefully they'll become more involved and want to get more involved in the community.
Wow, that's a fabulous way to do things. Wow.
Now, the prices though restrict me on my ability to do that too much. But yeah, I think hey, that's another idea. Just if you have a lady in your life, give her some EOS.
Seriously, right?
See what she does with it. It doesn't have to be much.
Wow. No, I love that. Yeah, just that mindset. I mean, even I hadn't thought about that.
I didn't till just right the second talking to you. I'm like, oh, I've done that for some family and friends. Actually, people could probably do that for anyone.
That's a great idea. There you go. Katie just had an idea. Oh man. So, I mean, considering you've been in this space for a while and in, Steam, and been following Dan Larimer, like who hasn't, at least to a point, what do you see the future of EOS as? Like, what do you see it in the next, year, 5 years? I don't know, whatever your vision, I guess.
Wow.
I know, right?
Man, that's a hard one. I guess in the next year, I see it becoming a real contender, Steam at 2.0 becoming a real contender in the social media space. I see it being spoken about not just in the blockchain world and the DPost world, but in the world at large. I think there's going to be more, it's going to be in the New York Times, it's going to be in the Washington Post, it's going to be on Fox News. We're going to see it everywhere. And people are going to wake up to all the benefits of the EOS software. I also think maybe a year from now, we're going to see at least 10 to 15 legitimate forks of the EOS software, each having its own flavor, its own community, bringing a lot of value to the space. EOS Asia as a BP is only supporting the mainnet, but we're still very excited about things like Werbly and Telos and the great things those teams are doing. And I just, so from a year from now, I think the social media, if Dan gets that going, is going to be a real contender against Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all those other non-scalable centralized platforms. Because they're just not. I mean, they're gotten huge. I'm not crazy. They've done great things, but they've done a lot of shitty things too. And I think that if Dan releases something, we have such a great community at EOS, we're going to make sure the world knows about it. I think those like 10 to 15 forks are going to dominate blocktivity.info, and everyone's going to see that DPost is the way to go. It's the only way to scale. It's the only way to be fast enough to build the kind of applications that we want to build. And I'm going to love that. And I also think a year from now, we're all going to have way more money than we did for us that got involved early. So we're going to see me on a yacht. We're going to see Jenny on her private jet.
We can dream.
I know, right? I'm gonna go Rob Finch with it and say in a year from now, EOS is gonna be $1,000 coin.
There you go. You heard it here.
Heard it here first. Katie's doubling down on Rob Finch's claim with Cypherglass. This next year it's going to happen. But overall, I mean, as far as world development, I mean, I think we all feel this way. So it's stating the obvious. It's going to change the world. I mean, it just is. There's no, unless it gets regulated into oblivion, which I mean is a possibility. It's going to change the world. People's lives are going to be better because of it. People are going to have access to more resources in a more fair way, and it's going to be one of those big things like the car. It's going to be like the internet. It's going to be like electricity, right? Like it's one of those things, guys, to get more serious. And I know we've been having a lot of fun on this in this interview, but I think you can agree the reason we're in this is because it's a calling to something bigger, and it's a chance to be a part of something bigger. So I think if anyone's watching this who's unsure, and get involved. I mean, it's your chance to be a part of history. And with that said, a PSA right here is I also think that's why we need to be brave right now. I know a lot of us are questioning a lot of things that are happening in the space. Word of encouragement would be we're only 4 months out of launch. We have a lot of space and time to improve, but we also can't turn a blind eye to what's obviously happening. And if we want this to really be something that's bigger than ourselves, we need to stand up and protect something that's worth protecting. And I think our community is worth protecting. I think the mainnet's worth protecting. I think, and I'll leave it at that.
I love it. And I fully agree for several things there. I actually don't think I realized how life-changing EOS could be until I happened to be on an interview back months ago when I was part of EOS Go. And we interviewed EOS Nairobi, I believe it was.
Oh, that was a good one. Yeah.
And they were talking to me about the land and how something like EOS could when the land is actually sold, that you would know who the owner is instead of it being sold like 4, 5, 10 different times. I thought just, wow. I mean, I think that's when it clicked in really to me, how life-changing something like that could be if it's used properly. And I will definitely back up your thought of, I mean, if you're in the space, obviously the ones who are in it, I would hope that you would care about the space. So if stuff is going like, right now we're still, for instance, in an interim constitution.
Right.
Pay attention. I mean, know what's out there, read what's out there, get ready to vote for referendums. Like, yes.
You're right, Jenny. I didn't even think about that. The Constitution. Guys, we need to solidify our Constitution. And you're right, we need to be educated on it. We can't just go by what people are saying. We see in real life how marketing can distort the truth of the matter.
Yep.
And everyone has an agenda. I mean, even I have an agenda, right? Like my agenda is to promote EOS Asia. So it doesn't mean people are bad, but just have your eyes wide open. Referendum time, dang. Do you think they're going to vote on Rex first for referendum?
You know what? I don't even know.
I don't know. We need to research. We need to figure out what's happening. But
Yeah.
I know Jenny will probably hate that I'm about to say this, but I know that behind the scenes, Jenny is working on getting people informed about upcoming referendums. So I appreciate you for that.
Yes. Or at least, getting people need to know info is out there and where to find the info. Cause I mean, hell, even I didn't know half the time. I'm like, where is this? What's going on? And I don't think it's good that you want it to pass underneath your nose.
Right. Until you asked me, I didn't even think of where to look for it. Jenny asked me, guys, she's like, hey, do you know where like all the versions of the Constitution are? Are they in like a GitHub or a platform or a forum somewhere? I'm like, I don't know. Crap, that's bad. So I appreciate you.
Oh, thanks. And I mean, you went out there and actually helped me find them too. So thank you for that.
Power of women.
I know, right? See, and I mean, it's not just because, we've like, because Katie and I didn't even have to become friends, but we just, it's good. It's good. And this space is good. So
it is. Everyone in the space has been really cool so far.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. I mean, you'll always find an idiot somewhere, but
but I'm saying, only a handful I've encountered.
Yeah. And they have personalities.
It's their right.
Absolutely. So like we've touched on so many things, and you've answered a lot of things with a whole bunch of just more info or ideas than I've heard so far. So it's fantastic. I don't have any more questions actually for you, except, is there anything else you didn't touch on that I didn't ask that maybe you want to mention? Anything you just want to, I don't know, throw out there? Or
Sure. I'm going to go out on a limb here and really put my heart on my sleeve.
Okay.
Since I've joined the EOS Asia team, I have gone through I've been with them 2 months now, what's the word? I've just been learning about Asia and China more specifically. Two of our two founders are in Shanghai, about the Chinese people and the Chinese culture. And really, to be honest, I mean, I don't want to sound condescending in any way, because that's not my intent, but the Chinese people face a lot. They really face a lot of challenges directly imposed by their government. And I know we all have our qualms with our governments. And, it's not about what's worse or better, but just to speak directly to the challenges they face. I mean, a reason that a lot of our fellow, the Chinese people hold, I think, the majority of EOS coins. And they can't get into our Telegram chats because Telegram's blocked in China. They can't participate in certain forums we have, because if it's blocked in China, they'd have to use a VPN. That's why a lot of people have now gone to WeChat to communicate more directly with these people. And I would say that we should be mindful of this. We should always make an effort. to include these people, these wonderful people in our conversations when crafting things like constitutions and referendums. I think the Alliance has done a great job with that so far. EOS Asia is a part of something called The Link, which is going to work with other BPs like EOS Fish and EOS Nation and others to kind of make sure information is being shared back and forth in a consistent and accurate way. And that's important. And so I've heard a lot of people saying, well, let Chinese people speak for themselves, which I think is a great sentiment. But I think we also have to keep in mind the immense amount of pressure that the Chinese people are under as they are being monitored by their government for what they do and say. So we always have to keep that in mind. And I think sometimes we get idealistic, at least I do, or in the United States where we have something like freedom of speech, that we forget not everyone has freedom of speech. And they have different considerations. So that's my little soapbox moment. So let us help each other and stand up for each other. Let's speak for those that can't speak.
Awesome. And yeah, communicate in a way that we can reach the most amount of people.
Exactly.
Well. So if it ends up being, WeChat, for example, or anything, then absolutely.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So only other thing I'll mention, because I know you probably have to go, is where can people contact you if they wanted to, if you wanted them to, I should say?
Yeah, well, Telegram's the best way. My handle is @summerskin, SUMMERSKIN. If you want to join one of the many Telegram communities I'm involved in, you could join us at EOS Asia. That's at EOS Asia. That's a group where you can chat with us. Now we have the EOS Go group, so at EOS Go, I plan on being in there more. And if you just want to follow The Wire, that's a really long one. I can't.
No
I'll
problem.
give
I'll
it
have
to
all
people
the
later.
links in the bottom.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
You can follow The Wire. You can follow the EOS Go channel.
Awesome. Wonderful.
But Jenny, I have a question for you before we go.
Sure.
Jenny, when moon?
Oh God.
Can you tell us?
I would, you know what? I'm not even gonna lie. I honestly thought we would be a little bit higher now than we are. So I was kind of like, oh, you know what? So I'm thinking my thoughts are maybe a little off from there. We'll say it'll more easily moon when we get some specific things from some specific
I agree.
people. I think so. I won't even
I
say
agree.
it.
I agree.
Well, this was fantastic. I mean, you always have me laughing and you always have great ideas out there. And yeah, this is an interesting interview and I loved it. I love people.
I loved it too.
Thank you
it's
so
so
much.
Fun. You're a great interview. And everyone go join EOS Very Cool. Is that the link for your group?
Yes, EOS Very Cool. Yep. Should be. Yeah. I'll double check it. It's always somewhere. But thank you so much for taking the time and coming on today. And I know it's super early over there, maybe not so much now, but it was. And yeah, I mean, thank you so much. This was awesome.
Thank you, Jenny.
Wonderful. Bye.
Bye.
This episode was brought to you by Scatter and Crypto Lions.